All right, welcome back again to High Score Online School, and in this video we shall be looking at the first topic for Aqa Gcse physics, which is energy, which is the part 1 of this first topic, which is energy. All right, so we're talking about the concept of energy and every other subtopics that are required for your examination for GCSE AQA specification. All right, let's talk about what energy is. Energy is basically the ability or the capacity to do work. So whenever a system is able to perform work or has the tendency to do work in future, we say that system is possessing energy. For example, if we have a moving vehicle, if a moving vehicle hits an obstacle, surely the obstacle may end up getting damaged or getting broken. Yes, that is because the energy possessed by this moving vehicle has been impacted on this, therefore doing some work on this system, and it now causes some form of action like a damage or a breakage. So we say that the vehicle possesses some energy. All right. Another scenario, we can have a stone hung with a thread, suspended by a thread. This stone is hung and it is not moving. Yes, even though it's not moving. However, if this thread is caught, at this point, the stone will end up falling down and doing some work on anybody it meets down here. Therefore, even though the stone is not moving, however, it does possess some energy which will be visibly appreciated when the stone drops. So in a nutshell, a body may still possess energy even though it is at rest, and that is why we have what we call potential energy, as we see in later part of this series. All right, don't forget, energy is always manifested when work is done. That is why we can say that work is simply energy in action, and that explains the reason why both energy and work have the same unit of joules. Yes, both of them have the same unit as joules because energy is used to perform some work. All right, let's go to what we call system. A system in science is basically an object or a group of objects. That's what we call a system in physics. Okay, for GCSE physics, we have basically 8 energy stores. First of all, what is energy stores? Energy stores are simply systems that has the potential. These are systems with a potential to do work. Yes, they have potential to do work. And for GCSE physics, there are about 8 of them. The first one is what we call the gravitational potential energy. Gravitational potential energy. Number 2 is the elastic potential energy. Elastic potential energy. We also have number 3, chemical energy. Then the number 4, we have the thermal energy, which we call heat. We also have electrostatic energy. We also have, next one is kinetic. Please make sure you're able to remember this for your GCSE exam. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We also have magnetic. Lastly, we have nuclear. For your examination, you should be able to remember all of this. Now, the first three, which is these are called potential energy. Yes, they belong to a group called potential energy. Why are they called potential energy? They are called so because these are forms of energy that may not be visible until some work is made to be done. For example, the first one, which is GPE, we call it GPE. GPE is simply energy possessed by a body when it is being raised from the ground. Energy possessed by a body when it is being raised from the ground. For example, if we have a body being raised from this place to this place, because of the rise or the change in distance now, this body is said to possess a gravitational potential energy. The formula will come later in this concept, this episode. Now we also have the elastic potential energy. This is simply an energy possessed by an elastic material when it is being stretched or compressed. If I have a spring this way, if I apply a force this way to stretch it, this spring becomes something like this, and if it is released, it can do some work on any object it meets. Of course, this is where we derive the design of the catapult. So when the material is being stretched, we have what we call the extension. So the extension in this spring is used to do some work. Now, chemical energy is energy possessed in chemicals. These are energy possessed in chemical bonds. For example, the food we eat goes into our body and it gets converted to mechanical energy, sound energy, for us to be able to speak, be able to talk, and to do some exercise. So energy stored in food is chemical energy. Now, thermal energy is simply energy possessed by a body due to a difference in temperature. Due to temperature of that body. For example, a body at high temperature has more energy than the energy possessed by a cold body. Now, for this is electrostatic energy. This is energy possessed by charges, which can be repulsive or attractive. Repulsive or repulsion comes in when we have similar charges. Yes. But when they are opposites, that is attraction. The next one is KE, kinetic energy. This is energy possessed by a moving body, like what we saw in the case of the car. Energy possessed by a body by the virtue of its speed. The speed of an object is the reason for the energy possessed called kinetic energy. Next, we have magnetic energy. This is energy possessed by the attraction or the repulsion of the poles of a magnet. Talking about the North Pole and South Pole, North Pole and South Pole. Then lastly, we have the nuclear energy. This is the energy possessed by the virtue of the nuclei of atoms. All right. Now, let's go to energy transfers. Don't forget, energy is almost useless if it is not being transferred. The reason why we can see the efficacy of energy is whenever work is done. And for work to be done, energy must have to be transferred. We transfer energy from one form to another. You can never destroy energy. The best you can do is to transfer this energy from one form to another. And when we do this, work is done. And that is why energy and work have the same SI unit. Now for AQA physics, you need to master 5 energy transfers. 5 energy transfers. And let's list them. The first one is energy transfer in form of heat. Yes. For example, when heat is lost or gained, there is energy transfer in form of heat, and this usually occur due to a difference in temperature. Don't forget, heat will always flow from area of high temperature to area of low temperature. That is how heat flows. That is how heat is being transferred. Then the number two is sound. Sound is caused by some form of vibration of particles. All right. Now the number three is electrical. Yes, can transfer heat also by electrical means. Sorry, transfer energy by electrical means. Now number 4 is radiation. Radiation can occur from items like our torchlights. Our torchlights. Yes. So when we on our torchlights, we can convert the chemical energy in the batteries to light energy, which in turn gives us some form of radiation. Then the last one is mechanical. Mechanical energy is simply obtained when a force simply moves a distance. For example, when someone pushes an item with a force, and this item moves from here to here. So energy has been transferred to mechanical means. So these are the 5 energy transfers that you need to master for your AQA GCSE physics. The next episode we shall be looking in details the concept of GPE, ELE, and the kinetic energy. We'll be doing some calculations and formulas. All right, until then, see you.